Welcome, everyone, to the Pool Nation Live podcast. Today, we are doing a special episode. We are doing the best of. We were out last week for Thanksgiving, so we hope everybody had a great week for Thanksgiving and a great Thanksgiving with their families. And now that as we head into the holidays. So here is a special episode for everybody, the best of the Pool Nation podcast. Hope that you guys enjoy, and we will be back live on Wednesday and next Friday on the podcast. Hope you have a great one.
Welcome to the Pool Nation podcast, where it's all pool talk. And we ain't talking about netting and jetting or splashing and dashing. We're talking about becoming a nation of pool pros. We talk about the latest products, trends, and training in the pool industry. Now let's welcome your host, with over a decade of industry insider experience and still the reigning champion of Marco Polo, Edgar De Jesus, and his co-host, John JJ Flawless, the fastest netter in the West, and Zach the Pool Boy Nicholas.
Welcome, everyone, to the Pool Nation Live podcast. Today, we have a special episode that we're going to share with you here in just a second. But we are out at the PSP Expo. We've been out there since last Friday setting up. And I do want to thank all 348 pool pros that have showed up at the Pool Nation conference from all over the U.S., Puerto Rico, out to do the education with us, to hang out, to be part of our community. So what we're going to do today is a special episode, the best of Pool Nation podcast, since we are out at the conference. But we hope that you tune in, that you enjoy this, and everybody tune in on Wednesday for the Pool Nation Awards. We're really excited about that. We've got 25 different categories. We're doing the Hall of Fame, Lifetime Achievement. So hope you have a great week, and we'll tune in live because we will be streaming live from Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn. So enjoy this podcast episode and tune in on Wednesday for the Pool Nation Awards. Take a listen.
So yeah, guys, for those of you that are listening, we had a little bit of a rough night last night. So we were trying to play with this Podbean and kind of get this thing going for the live, because we're really excited that it's live and people can call in and all that kind of stuff. And so as we kind of started playing with it last night, we started having some issues. And to the point that we kind of thought, wow, are we going to have to cancel this and kind of figure this thing out? And so it really was interesting to kind of fight through it, to kind of, hit it up and go through there. And two things, and it's funny because we'll talk about this in today's podcast, is, we're sitting there kind of trying to do the logical thing is, do we wait? Do we make sure that we put a good product out? And both of you, John, from your side, you're kind of looking at it and digging deep, and Zach, you're just going, nope, we're going to figure this out. We're just going to keep figuring it out. So we kind of kept pushing through, guys, and we were able to figure all those things out and come on live today. So we were really stoked to be able to come on, and a little stressed, I think, last night, right, guys?
Oh, yeah, to say the least. We came very close to not being able to do it, but we were on the phone for hours and we worked through it all, and it was pretty awesome, pretty excited.
Yes, and I want to also give a shout out there to Mama Flawless. I know she jumped on there and helped us. Mike from Salmon Pools also came on, and Dylan from Dylan's Pool is just trying to help us.
And welcome to the Pool Nation Live podcast with myself. I am your host, Edgar De Jesus, and yes, I am the reigning champion of Marco Polo, along with John JJ Flawless, the fastest netter in the West, and the famous Zach the Pool Boy Nicholas. Today, we are talking with Chris Osterbusch, the new director of the International Pool Spa Patio and Deck Expo, and myself. I really am Megan Magana, not Edgar.
And by the way, if there is any family members that are listening, type on the chat. And then if you guys want to give us any good stories about these two ladies, feel free, because that always happens.
So, ladies, can you give us some background on the International Pool and Spa Expo, and maybe how the show is different, or how you think it's different from some of the other shows that are put on throughout the year?
Sure. Well, so I'm 3 weeks in, so I'm learning. I have had a number,
crash course.
I have had some crash courses. I've had some good knowledge share history, but I will say the event itself has been around since the 50s. So, I mean, that's amazing. And we got involved as Informa, and actually another company prior to Informa, in early 2000s with the PHTA. And since then, we've worked really closely with those organizations because they know their members, they know what their members need. We want to provide the platform that can get the members and the attendees who come connected with the product manufacturers and suppliers and the education. And then it all wraps up into a neat little ball of amazing experience.
Yes. And then so in 2020, we brought over Deck Expo, which was previously with another event within Informa, and Informa is our parent company. And so that really brought together the pool folks and the deck folks, like anyone who would have anything to do with building a beautiful backyard for clients. They all had like now one spot to come to. And there was a lot of crossover, both in education and in products, especially with lighting or landscape architecture, as Chris mentioned. So that's been a really great kind of addition for us. And that, again, that audience, when I say the audience, I mean pool and deck folks, just super nice, down to earth. The association we work with there is NADRA, the North American Decking and Railing Association, and they're fantastic.
That's great. Now, last year, I know that your show did really well, and we were excited to be a little part of that. So can you guys talk about this year and how attendance is looking for this year? I'm going to throw you guys, I'm going to throw a curveball, right? Because it's like, boom, they both looked at me like, what, did you ask that?
Well, we all know we want to wait till post-event to have our verified attendance and registration, but it's looking great. It's looking really good. In fact, we've got a big welcome party plan, and I can get into that a little bit more in a minute, but we keep having to rethink our plan. Oh gosh, do we need to add a room? Do we need to do some overflow? Maybe we should scan people here instead of there, because we've seen such an incredible amount of interest in the event, and it's looking great.
Yeah, so in nice problems to have territory. We are at capacity for the welcome party, so we are making some adjustments on the back end to make sure that everyone can enjoy that event.
That's awesome. Now, that event's going to be up on the third floor?
It is.
Okay.
Third floor terrace.
So for everybody listening, I went out to Vegas, and it's on that same third floor. And I do have to tell everybody, John, Zach, everybody that's listening, the view from that third floor over to the Strip is amazing. And then I was talking to Chris, and I go, oh my God, I have a feeling that if we put our red carpet on the other side, everybody's going to leave the red carpet to take a picture with the view of the backdrop because it's so beautiful. And Chris said, if you think it looks great during the day, wait till you see that thing lit up at night. It is just absolutely gorgeous. So, of course, I had to cheat and go look over by the terrace out there to get the view of it. And it is really nice out there.
It is.
Yeah. With the numbers, as Chris mentioned, we didn't really release registration numbers until everyone is verified, and we take out the duplicates and the test records and all that kind of thing. But we have been vocal and public that the floor, we're at about 133 and change now, 33,000 square feet. And for comparison, when we closed the show last year, when the doors closed that Thursday at 2:30, we were at 100,000 and change. And so right now we're at 133,000.
So you're 30,000 more square feet of space?
Yep.
That's amazing. Yep. For a convention, that's huge.
That's big.
That's huge for a convention to go 30,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Do we get like those little like Paul Blart motorized carts so that we can travel from one side to the other?
We're going to get John in an old man little scooter driving around the thing.
Wear some comfortable shoes.
Yeah.
Wear comfy shoes.
Make a plan.
So, by the way, Megan, now you have Benny over here on the chat and going, oh my God, Megan. And he's screaming Megan over here for you.
I have a fan club.
You do have your fan club from the Instagram Live. They're always talking to you. I think Zach has disappeared on us, right? You there today, Zach?
Yeah, I lost my mute button. I was waiting for Spider. So your guys' show has a lot of different aspects to it. You've got keynote speakers. There's a lot of different special events going on, lots and lots of education. And then there's the expo.
In today's podcast, we're talking to Terry Arco from HASA. We will talk about the recent reports in the media about the chlorine shortage. We will talk about HASA's new liquidator, the new HASA app,
And yes, we will talk about the advantages of using liquid chlorine over other forms of chlorine. Terry, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Edgar. Good morning, Zach, John. And yeah, John, I grew up in Southern California, so I was very familiar with TGIF. Was a good place back in the day. And we moved up here to lovely, sunny Seattle, Washington about 24 years ago. And there was one about 20 miles from our house, so we were all excited. So it went there a couple times, but it closed down and it's gone. So no TGIFs in Washington. It's never come up here.
Well, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
Guys, before we get started today, and Terry, I want to hear your story because I know it's kind of been a little crazy for you with this whole Poolmageddon kind of thing that's been going on. So we'll dive into that. Before we get started, I wanted to talk a little bit really quick about the Pool Nation Awards. And we have partnered with the International Pool Spa and Patio Expo out in Dallas. And we're going to be attending the show, me, Zach, and John. We're actually going to have a table there. We're going to do some live podcasts from there. And we're going to be holding the first Pool Nation Awards. And those are the Pool Pro Awards. And they're for you, the Pool Pro out there. And you guys are actually going to be the ones that are going to be voting and choosing the winners. In our live this last week, on our Instagram live, John and I talked about the awards and the categories and stuff like that. And John, they gave us a lot of great categories that we hadn't even thought about and a lot of great feedback. So for you guys that are here today on the Insta chat, if you guys have any suggestions, please go ahead and type those in there because we're going to kind of finalize that list of categories and kind of go through them and try to finalize that list and kind of get that over to the website so we can start the nomination process with the voting. And so those are going to be held on the 17th of November at the Convention Center in Dallas. And it'll happen right after the floor closes for the day. So I think it's around 5:30 or 6 o'clock. And it's going to be held live right there at the Convention Center. So we'll give out more details as we kind of start to make a little bit of progress there. Terry, are you guys going to be at the show?
So it looks like we will be. The interesting thing about the international show is they move around. So sometimes it's in Orlando, Florida, or New Orleans, or wherever. So typically, HASA is not always in. We don't always exhibit in the show just because it's not in our region, and so sometimes it doesn't make sense to do that. But definitely with this one, and I'm going to tell you, Edgar, definitely because you're going to be having the Pool Man and the Pool Gal awards going on, that HASA definitely wants to be behind that and support that. So we will have a presence at the International Pool Spa Show in Dallas in November.
That is so freaking awesome. That's exciting.
Yes,
thank you, Terry. We appreciate that. We definitely appreciate that. So here I want to just we have our Insta chat here. John, Zach, look at this. So we have Dean from Big Family Pool on the Insta chat, and he's like, dang, I want to vote Zach for best pool guy. And then John second that, Edgar most helpful, and nothing for John. Dean, nothing for John out there? By the way, I think I fall under the category of best looking.
I'm the best Marco
let's kind of
Polo,
vote
dude.
for that
I'm the
one.
best at Marco Polo.
So he's saying he's apologizing now, John. So Dean, type us a message in here and tell us what you would give John. And we'll kind of nothing.
No, he wouldn't. I've already. Hey, Dean, I already deleted your number, so don't worry about it.
Look at this. He put on their best wife. That's the cup.
Sure.
That's the cupcaker, sure. I guess. The cupcake.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
So
that's for sure.
All right, guys. So let's get going. Hey, Terry, a couple weeks ago, the news went crazy with this whole Poolmageddon, and all the media outlets picked it up, and the supposed story of this whole chlorine shortage in the pool industry. And as one of the outlets, they put it out there, and we were kind of going through the quotes because it was crazy how everybody picked it up. But one of the quotes, you know what? I'm kind of like a dog with a squirrel today. John, you up for a little challenge?
You know I am. I'm always ready. I'm just a little bit competitive, just a little bit.
Just a little bit competitive?
Just a little bit.
Terry, I'm going to apologize because I started on this thing and kind of went left field on you really quick here. But You know what? I think we're going to do a little wager thing between me and John here for just a minute. So we went through and we found a lot of the headlines that they were putting out there. And Terry, they were kind of ridiculous with how the media outlets picked these up and just kind of ran with this whole Poolmageddon and the shortage and all that. So see, I'm kind of already getting my voice ready. John, let's do this. You have a deep radio voice. You kind of have the Godzilla voice with the bear face, right? So
Yes.
here's what I want to do is I will grab one of those ridiculous headlines and I'll kind of put my best radio voice on. And then I'll challenge your voice to see how you do. And then we'll let the guys from the Insta chat choose who has bragging rights.
Do it.
Are you on?
That
Let's do it.
took too quick of a turn there. You just lost focus and just sidelined us, took us off the rails. But you know what? Like, I want to be in this, so don't leave me out.
Oh,
yes.
Dang. I'm liking this. All right, so here's what we're going to do. So I'll go first, and I'll pull the first ridiculous headline, and then, all right, we'll get John to go, and then after that, we'll get Zach. And so everybody will be able to vote. Terry, you could probably be one of the judges on here, too.
Sure.
The problem is I went first, and that was probably a bad idea. So, all right, you guys ready? John, here I go. So ridiculous headline number 1, here it is. As homeowners start to prepare their pools for the season, they will face widespread chlorine shortage. It's Poolmageddon. Holy cow, that was terrible. Oh, man, I think I'm going to have to edit that out. Oh, that was bad.
I was supposed to be muted, but I wasn't. I think I laughed during your my apologies if I threw you
that
off.
was bad.
Okay.
Oh, I just ridiculed myself on that one. Oh, dang. Go.
Okay. This is a ridiculous headline number 2. All right.
No stress. No worries there, John.
No,
Go.
don't worry about it. The worst chlorine shortage the country has ever seen is set to rock the summer's pool season. It's Poolmageddon.
Okay, I wasn't the only one that was bad.
That puts me to sleep.
Dude, I was trying to sound like, you remember, previews nowadays aren't like they used to be for movies, right? But remember that guy who did the preview, right? In a world where soldiers fly, blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? Jean-Claude Van Damme in Bloodsport or something like that. You know what I mean?
I tried the same thing, John, but I bombed it.
Yeah, I think I screwed it up by trying to be the worst chlorine shortage in the country.
So this is John. This is going to be awesome because if we both tanked it, I know that Zach ain't going to nail it.
I don't know. Zach was muted and he was sitting there screaming at the top of his lungs to get his throat all raspy and everything. Watch, he's gonna.
I have tears coming out my eyes. Okay, Zach, it's all you, baby. Go.
Okay, so ridiculous headline number 3. Americans are gearing up for summer, but another shortage could crash the fun. It
sounds like
Poolmageddon.
I'm Batman. Dude, you sound like Batman. Which one was the Batman movie? Remember, just a horrible Batman voice?
Oh my God.
All of them.
There was one of them. I think it was. I can't remember which one it was, but oh my God, when I heard the Batman voice, it was just so. Oh my, I'm Batman.
Oh my God!
All right, do it again,
Holy
Zach.
cow! I got tears coming out my eyes. That is, guys, this was just terrible. But that did sound like Christian Bale. It totally did.
It did, right? Oh, that's who it was.
Thank you. I'm bowing.
Man.
Holy crap.
All right. So look, Dean is killing us here. He's that's why I listen to podcasts so I can fast forward.
Right.
Oh God, guys, I kind of played that in my head one way and it came out in reality in a different way. That was bad. Hey Terry, do you want in? Do you want to try your voice? I can give you a headline.
So first of all, I'm just going to say to all 3 of you guys, don't give up your day job for sure. And no, I I absolutely am not going to try because while I may have a face for radio, I do not have a voice for radio. So no.
Oh man, guys, that was terrible. That's probably the worst beginning of our podcast ever. Oh my God.
Thanks, Edgar.
I totally played it in my head that I could sound a lot deeper voice kind of thing, but I'm afraid to listen to that. So let's do this. Let's just kind of move on very quickly. And
odds on whether or not this is going to get cut out, the official podcast.
Oh, yeah, I think that's probably going to be a major cut out of this podcast when we go into post edit because that was bad.
Who won? That's the question.
I think we were all losers.
Yeah, I'm going to say it was a three-way tie from that aspect.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh my God.
That was bad. All right, let's move on. All right, let's move on. So Terry, I am going to apologize for that right off the bat because that was terrible. So
no worries.
Guys, let's try to do what we do better so that we can make it up here to Terry. So all right, back to business. So Terry, let's start the podcast, and I want to jump right into that chat about the chlorine shortage. I think I just want to make it very crystal clear for everybody that's out there listening. I'll start with just a simple yes or no so that everybody has it clear. Is there a chlorine shortage?
Yes and no. That's the only way I can really answer that. Yes, there's a chlorine shortage, and the chlorine shortage primarily that is being experienced is trichlor tablets. Obviously, there's been issues with that have been going on for actually quite a while. Even before the biolab fire, there were some issues with trichlor tabs that just had to do with supply, demand, some of the pandemic situation that went on to where some of the manufacturers and repackers or plants were having to either close down or delay and so forth. So, there's no getting around it. Trichlor is and has been probably the most popularly used form of chlorine, especially for residential pools. So widespread, use, and the supply begins to kind of slow down and dry up. And at the same time, prices began to eke up as well. So then you throw the fire in at Biolab, which is the largest America maker of trichlor tabs. And I think it's been in the area of 40 to 60% supply in the U.S. And also there were tons of stock on hand that burnt up. So a lot of supply instantly dried up. From that standpoint, yes. If you're trying to get trichlor tablets or the trichlor form of chlorine, there is a shortage. So where the no is that there are still many different forms of chlorine or ways to sanitize the pool. And that includes liquid chlorine, that includes cal hypo, that includes salt chlorine generators and, just various alternative systems that you can get by with less chlorine and so forth. So from that aspect, no, there's not a chlorine shortage there.
To the pool guy out there that uses chlorine or is looking for a form of chlorine, they're not going to have any problems finding chlorine this summer.
Well, I don't want to say that. I mean, I don't want to paint this thing with rose-colored glasses, It's going to be hard. So when I say, and I wrote a blog and I wrote an article that went out, and it's really interesting. I think, I don't know, maybe I have some prophetic in me or something, because I think I wrote this blog about 3 weeks before this big news blast hit. And the title of my blog was, "There's not a chlorine shortage, there's a trichlor shortage." And I kind of went through in the article explaining, what was going on and so forth. But as a part of that article, I did say that, even though, yeah, sure, there's a lot of cal hypo available, right? There's a lot of liquid available still. But the problem is, and the problem becomes where there can be some difficulty, is everybody begins to make that shift. So a lot of people start, if they were using trichlor more so, and they're like, well, I'm just switching to liquid. Okay, well, now that places a little more demand at the distributor, ups the, the supply demand and so forth. And so it's available. And certainly from Haas's standpoint, we're cranking out. We're cranking out, the juice day in and day out. We've, expanded our all of our manufacturing schedules, and we're going pretty much almost around the clock producing to meet the demand. But things, other things happen. There's shipping situations, those kinds of things. So things might get slowed down. Maybe a truckload doesn't get to your distributor on Monday because of various reasons, so it doesn't show up till Tuesday. So I think that on that end, the other forms of chlorine, there's certainly supply is available, but there could be some hiccups. There could be some difficulties because of shipping, because of packaging, because of delays from other standpoints, because it's sort of the world we're in right now. So that's important to understand.
So here are some of the things that we know about the chlorine shortage. And we know that biolab in Louisiana, the one that had the fires, where they produce up to 60% of the trichlor products, and that's the tabs and the chlorinating granules. And they also produce some other specialty products. They made some products for the brand Pool Time, and I think that's the Home Depot brand. But they also did the Clorox brand with the tabs and all their products that you kind of see at some supermarkets and Walmart. They did a water clarifier for C-Clear and Natural Chemistry. They did a product or two in the BioGuard. So for those three, for the C-Clear, the Natural Chemistry, and the BioGuard, they didn't do all their products, but they did a couple of them. So I did get a message that they do not expect that facility to be back up and running for another 18 to 24 months. So guys, that's 2 years. That's a long time. So, the question is, what cost increase are we going to see? And I personally think that increase can be dramatic. So, other manufacturers have said that they will step in and they'll fill that demand, but the price is most likely going to go up. I mean, it's business. They're going to step in. They know that there's a demand and they'll take advantage of the business opportunity and do it, but they're going to do it at a better profit. So
and that's normal. That's the way businesses have to work. There's an opportunity, they see it, and they take it.
I agree. And I think that's how all businesses look at everything. And it's like, if there's a demand, right, the demand and supply part of it. So I agree with you. We've seen the shortage of tabs and trichlor in the industry. We're not completely out, but there's definitely a shortage. So this year, I think we've also seen a higher demand because the people are swimming more because everybody's staying home because of COVID and stuff like that. But, I've gotten messages from the pool guys and pool girls out there. And I mean, they're talking about shortages from Boston to parts of Florida, Dallas, LA, Phoenix. Yep. We're going to talk about the 7 steps of quoting pool service. So quoting service or repairs is the sales aspect of your business, and sales are going to be the key to your success. And if you don't have it down, guys, it's going to kill your earning potential. So guys, just like everything else, if you follow the steps and practice the steps, that will put you in a great place. And once you practice it, it's going to come like second nature to you. So it doesn't matter if you're a single pool guy or if you're a pool company, providing a well-defined sales process is going to be crucial to your business. Remember that quoting is a sales aspect of your business. And that's one of the things I talk about all the time. You've got to put that sales hat on. So let's talk about the 7 steps, and I'll go through them fairly quickly here, and then we'll dive into each one of them individual. So the first one is going to be the initial contact. So the very first step of that sales process is going to be the initial contact. The second is going to be the rapport or the ice breaking. Number 3 is going to be to showcase your product or your knowledge. Number 4 is going to be the needs and the discovery. Number 5 is going to be for you to offer a solution. Number 6, you're going to handle objections and close the sale. And number 7, you're going to follow up, and you're even going to follow up on the repeat business and the referrals. So, Jared, did you hear about the fire at the BioLab plant in Atlanta this week?
So I did hear about the disruption at the BioLab facility. This one, I believe, was a chemical reaction while we had a fire during the hurricane at a different facility. While everybody likes to talk about these headlines being the reason for chemical disruption, I do believe it's important that the marketplace understand that there's several other factors driving shortages. These situations that occurred recently have only created velocity to that situation. The main issue I think we should talk about is labor. It's gotten harder and harder for manufacturers to hire personnel. I think even pool companies are seeing that challenge as well. What that's doing is as demand continues to increase for products within the pool industry, given the home builders building more homes, people staying at home, demand for new pools are happening, and we're also experiencing driver shortages for the freight companies. We're continuing to see supply come offline while demand increases, and that's just a perfect soup for the equation of having an additional shortage, price increases, so on and so on.
And guys, for you guys that just tuned in, today we have Michael Ferry joining us. So they buy this company, they see the potential for the UV into the swimming pool industry. And so what changes then did they have to make to that product to bring it into the swimming pool industry?
The aquaculture side, or DIY koi ponds and stuff like that, they go with very low pressure. So you don't have to, that UV doesn't really have to, there's not a lot of pressure in a line. So the UV doesn't have to have, the seals don't have to be at a rating that need to be in a pool. So that's one of the things we changed was all the seals, a higher rating, because pools sometimes, sometimes new install, you might let it sit there at 50 PSI until an inspector comes out. So, we had to change all those seals and everything that had to do with, keeping water out of the outside of the vessel or even in the quart sleeve.
Gotcha. So let's do this, guys, because I think this part is important. So before we go into further detail, because I'm going to start asking you questions about the UV itself and BioShield. So one of the things that I want to talk about really quick, so that I think it's important for us to touch on it, and I want to do it before we get into the details. This way our listeners can, the big difference, and see where the BioShield is going to have the greatest impact. So I want to talk about sanitation and oxidation. And so guys, when we're talking water chemistry, the first thing that Wayne from Taylor Technologies taught me was sanitation and oxidation and the differences. And so we know that sanitation and oxidation are not the same thing, okay? So sanitation is going to be the destruction of potentially harmful microorganisms such as bacteria and algae, and oxidation is going to be destruction and the removal of contaminants such as, bather waste, pool, personal care products, pollen, dust, dirt. And it could be things that goes through your body. And guys, yes, the urine and the fecal matter, or it comes off of your body. So the skins, the hair, the oil, sunblock, leaves, anything of an organic nature. Okay. So I wanted to cover that really quickly because you're going to see where the BioShield is going to play the biggest part within your water chemistry. I wonder what that purchase order looks like. Let's see. So today's got, 30 days. So, 1,000 pounds a day of Cal Hypo. Wow. That's a lot of Cal Hypo.
It's a lot of product.
Definitely. So what we're going to have to do, Zach and John, is kind of figure out how we get Alan to invite us so we can go see those.
Right. Well, that's something I've been able to do. The last two shows that have been in Vegas, the lead engineer he's a great guy and a friend. And he has taken, so I got to take my old boss and some folks from up in Seattle on a backstage tour. And he thanked me like 27 times because it was just, again, something that none of us ever see. So it was, it's fun to do stuff like that. So absolutely.
That's so freaking cool. So, all right, Alan. So what's that, John?
We're going to hold him on that.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's just next level stuff right there. So, okay. So guys, let's get me some education here on this Cal Hypo. So I've been talking to the guys out there about the trichlorine, the tab shortage, and how it's a great time for them to educate themselves about all the options out there. And I think, guys, even if we see some of the other manufacturers step in and, supply some of the shortage, we're still going to see that price increase. And my personal opinion is that I don't think those prices are really ever going to go back to what they were prior to the shortage. I think maybe if they come down, they'll come down a little bit, but we'll see that price there. So Alan, my goal with the podcast is really to educate everybody about Cal Hypo so they can look at it as an option for them. And I really want to talk about those new skimmer-friendly Cal Hypo tabs. I really think those can be a game changer in some of the markets. And I know that some of the guys that are listening are from here, from Texas, that specifically have heard about them and really kind of want to get some education on them, because Texas is very big on cal hypo, but then they use trichlor tabs for the tab feeder. So what I want to do, Alan, is I really want to start with some basics for the new guys out there, and really for the guy that started yesterday and has not even heard the word cal hypo. So we're going to really start from the basics and kind of work our way through. So my first question is, what is cal hypo and how is it different from the other chlorines out there?
Sure. So, there's different forms of chlorine, and they all do the same thing when they hit the water, right? They turn into HOCl, free available chlorine. They just add different byproducts to the water. So when we look at the different forms of chlorine, you've got your common sanitizers that people use on a regular basis on the residential side, which is trichlor and dichlor. Both of those contain cyanuric acid, and a lot of people don't understand how much cyanuric acid are in those tabs. Everyone looks at the percentages, right? It's 99% chlorine, 90% available chlorine. So maybe it's 1% cyanuric acid, maybe it's 10. No, trichlor is 53% cyanuric acid by weight. Dichlor is 56%. Likewise, when we look at cal hypo, now those are our cyanuric acid containing or stabilized products. We've also got our unstabilized chlorines, which we have bleach, we have gas. There used to be lithium, which really isn't available anymore. And then, of course, cal hypo. So it's bound by calcium, comes in different percentage strengths. You can find it anywhere on the market from a 47% that's been mixed with things like magnesium and whatnot to bring the oxidizer classification down, on up to our strongest product, which is a 78% cal hypo. Now, typically in the residential market, we see cal hypo used mainly as a shock or oxidizing treatment on a weekly basis. I think that a lot of people don't realize that, in the commercial world, trichlor and dichlor don't exist in the large commercial market. It's all going to be unstabilized chlorines, things that can dissolve quickly. And so I think that the biggest positive to cal hypo is that it does not contain that cyanuric acid. Now, we can stabilize it, obviously, by adding cyanuric acid to the water, but it's a very easy, friendly product to use. The biggest thing that we want to talk about, and I think we talk about it later, is how we balance pool water if we're using cal hypo. I think one of the biggest complaints out there I hear from people is, well, I added a pound of cal hypo and it immediately clouded my water, which it can. If our alkalinity is high, that's going to happen. We just have to add some acid and that goes away. So again, it's been widely used since 1928 as both a shock product and as a primary sanitizer. And so I think that this is a great forum to get the guys that have been on the residential side to understand how it works as a primary sanitizer and what a lot of the benefits are, the clarity of water that we can achieve, the protection from a higher calcium level that we're not used to hearing about when we're balancing, water for trichlor. Again, it's a very strong oxidizer, very strong sanitizer. We want to handle it properly. But the nice thing is that when we're using cal hypo as a primary sanitizer, we're going to get rid of a lot of the balance chemicals that we're typically using. You're not going to have to use bicarb. You're not going to have to use soda ash. Obviously, we're not going to have to use calcium chloride. But, like I said, been used widely since 1928 to treat water on the what we call the A grade commercial market. Those Olympic swimming pools that are 500,000, 800,000 gallons on up to my biggest end user is 22 million gallons. Yeah. Those are using strictly cal hypo as a sanitizer. And on the flip side, also liquid. Liquid's another big one in the commercial market.
All right, Terry. So what we're going to do is kind of start with some of the basics. And I know for some of the guys, like some of the questions are, that's kind of basic, but really we want even the guy that just started yesterday to be able to kind of dive in and follow along with us. So Terry, my first question to you is going to be, what is liquid chlorine and what concentrations does it come in?
Yeah, sure. Great. And I'll just, I'll kind of laugh and tell you that in the pool industry, we refer to it as liquid chlorine, but that makes most chemists and kind of scientist people sort of cringe because really it's not liquid chlorine. Liquid chlorine would be the pure form that's derived from the elemental gas, and pretty dangerous stuff. But that being said, it's really not liquid chlorine. What it is it's a compound that has liquid chlorine in it. And the actual name that we call it is liquid sodium hypochlorite. So a lot of times when guys take my chemistry classes or whatever, they definitely learn liquid chlorine is liquid sodium hypochlorite, which is a compound of pure chlorine. So it contains pure chlorine, but it has some other formulations and ingredients in it. And actually, to really define it to something that everybody could relate to, sodium hypochlorite is actually liquid bleach. And it comes in varying strengths. Down from, you've got laundry bleach, that you could get in the store or whatever. And the laundry bleach usually runs 3 to 8%. And the most common that you're getting is probably about 6% that you're using in your wash or whatever. Pool strengths are typically going to run anywhere from about 10 up to 12.5%. So definitely the liquid sodium hypochlorite liquid bleach that you're using in your pool is much more stronger and much more economical from that standpoint than trying to just go to the store and use laundry bleach.
The Hyper Pole from Ultimate Pool Tools is a pool care pole designed by pool professionals for pool professionals, featuring precision-crafted carbon fiber and stainless steel construction. Go to ultimatepooltools.com or Instagram at Ultimate Pool Tools. Pool pros have specific needs when it comes to general liability insurance. The SPPA program has you covered. With 3 tailored and customizable general liability options, SPPA makes it easy for pool pros to feel secure. Find out more and get covered at thesppa.com. Now available, Pool Invoice. Pool Invoice is a pool billing software created specifically for the pool service and repair industry. It's developed for our industry and only our industry. Pool Invoice is built with recurring billing in mind. You can print, email, text invoices, or even send via WhatsApp. You can add reoccurring or yearly charges, accept credits, and set up autopay. You can even see when customers have seen the invoice. It even has a customer portal where they can log in and see, print, and pay invoices. It has all your customers' information on one page, so you don't need to search through hundreds of invoices looking for the one you need. Just go to the customer profile and it's all at your fingertips. Created specifically for the pool industry, Pool Invoice. Now available at poolinvoice.com. Blu-ray XL is the power of minerals working for you. Reduce your overall chemical costs and labor up to 50% guaranteed. Whether you have 20 accounts or 20,000, Blu-ray XL's direct pricing and free shipping to the pool trade have you covered. Improving pool professionals' profit and work-life balance is what they do. Blu-ray XL, the real mineral purifier. Visit them at BluRayXL.com.
Blu-ray all day.
Aquastar's new pipeline cartridge filters, available in 2 sizes, deliver top-notch hydraulic efficiency along with best-in-class filtration performance, approaching that of DE filters. Uniquely designed, open pleat spacing means 100% of the media square footage is usable. And these claims are backed by NSF test results. Designed with the pro's time and comfort in mind, the patented double locking system improves safety and ease of access, making filter cleaners faster than ever before. Available now. Ask your supplier for pipeline filters today.
Natural Chemistry, a leader in specialty water care solutions for over 30 years, is proud to provide products that make pool service easier than ever before. Its unique enzyme formulations in Pro Series Pro Blend improve efficiency of your pool program while reducing frequency of filter cleaning and scum lines. Natural Chemistry is also well known for its wide variety of phosphate removal solutions that include a non-clouding formula in Phos-Free and extremely high-range removal with Pro Series Phos Remove or Phos Free Max. Save time, save money, save work with Pro Series products. Stop sacrificing durability or efficiency with the help of Raypak's new Avia HD models that utilize NITEC, their exclusive industry-first technology. NITEC heat exchanger technology is Raypak's latest solution to superior strength and maximum efficiency when it comes to residential pool heating. With 900% more nickel compared to copper nickel in critical surfaces, NITEC creates an ideal surface to protect against scale formation and erosion without compromising on Avia's 84% thermal efficiency. Learn more at raypak.com/NITEC. The next evolution in lighting is here. Universal Color Logic 2.0 from Hayward. The latest in pool and spa lighting was designed with you in mind, making installation a breeze. Upgrades include a detachable cord and first-of-a-kind adjustable lower catch to overcome variations in plaster thickness. As always, Universal Color Logic lights retrofit into virtually any in-ground pool or spa while delivering industry-leading, vibrant color. Visit Hayward.com to discover more.
All right, guys, let's get started. Bob, most of the guys out there don't know your story, and we've talked about it a little bit. We talked about it on the live. But guys, Bob was a four-sport athlete out of high school, went to college. Then he transferred to Florida State University to play football, and he gets drafted to go into the Vietnam War. But then the amazing story just continues because he goes in and then he ends up being a Green Beret. Just absolutely amazing. So, Bob, you tell that story better than I do. So, maybe you can tell the guys a little bit of that story and how you ended up then in the pool industry.
Yeah, I guess I can. I lettered in four sports in high school and was probably better than average in those days in size and weight, but I had a giant brother, so I never thought I was that big of a guy. But my brother was in the 1960s was 6'6" and about 275, and even though I was 5'11" and 190 in high school, back in '64 I was the second biggest guy on the football team. But in any case, I was on the football team, the swimming team, the baseball team, and the track team, and I tried to play every sport I could play and just enjoyed sports and all kinds of stuff when I was young. And I liked skin diving and scuba diving and just everything I could do, even water skiing. But I finished high school and decided to go to a junior college over the summer and pick up some extra credits. And then I was going to go to the University of Florida and play football. And I had a partial scholarship to do that. And so I went to the community college in Fort Lauderdale, and it was a summer session, and I didn't like it. So I kind of dropped about halfway through it. And then in August, I went up to University of Florida and started practicing and got an apartment and got my schedule and my ID card and stuff. And my mom called me and said, "You got a letter from the Selective Service?" And I said, "Well, what's it say?" And she said, "Well, it says you're drafted." And I said, "Well, it can't be. I'm a student." So I got the letter and I went down to the Selective Service office and I said, "Here's my ID card from University of Florida, and here's this letter." And the guy came back and he said, "Our records show you went to a community college and you dropped. And I said, "Yeah, but I'm a full-time student now." He said, "Yeah, but you're a college dropout, so you're drafted." And there wasn't any way out of it. Rather than be a draftee in those days, I decided to enlist. I went through most of basic training, and then we started rifle training and found out that I was a really good shot. And so they asked me if I could go to a special course and shoot some more for them. And I had an audience of people watching me, and they finally said, "You're a really good shot. We'd like to see if you'd like to be a Green Beret." And I said, "Well, I don't know what that is, but if I get more food, more money, it's a good deal." So anyway, I went to the Green Beret school, and before I could do that, they found out that I hadn't gone to paratrooper school. So I went to paratrooper school, and I became a master parachutist in 3 weeks. And then went back to Green Beret school and finished Green Beret school. They said normally you would go to 54 weeks to learn the Vietnamese language before you go to, and this was in 1965, well, the end of 1964. So they said, "Well, we need snipers in Vietnam, and we want you to be a sniper. Now that you're a Green Beret, we want you to be a sniper. I went to Green Beret without going to the language school. I went to Vietnam and was in Vietnam for almost 2 years, and then got out of the Green Berets and came back to University of Florida, was going to play football for them. And they finally said, you're really good at football and we'd like to have you on, but you've been in the Army and you've been trained to kill people and we don't want you on the field with our boys. So I went back to college and I couldn't play football. And then at the time, it was 1967, and everybody, all the colleges were protesting the war. And as soon as everybody found out that I was a veteran, nobody wanted anything to do with me on the college campus because they were all protesting the war. So I ended up going through college and getting 2 degrees in chemistry and almost had no friends. Anyway, after I got out of college, I became a hippie, had a motorcycle as a sole means of transportation for a few years, and just drank beer and hung out for a few years. And eventually, I started a company with a friend from college making products for aquariums. And this was in 1971 or 2. One day we all worked for the Center for Disease Control. I was talking with some guys from the center, and they said, you make a clarifier for aquariums, don't you? And I said, yeah. And he said, would that work in my pool? And so 47 years later, I'm still in the pool industry. And I brought the very first polymer clarifier to the pool industry in 1973. And since then, I've invented 111 products for pools. And I've written 21 books. And I've trained 2,500 CPO students. And I've given about 500 seminars. And I've written 175 articles and about 100 technical bulletins. And I've also made 5 apps for your phones that you can use for various things as a service tech. Anyway, that's my history, and here I am today.
Zach, John, I don't know what would constitute a legend in your standpoint.
You think he's qualified?
I think automatically, right? He just automatically just fits right in.
Well, interestingly enough, during my career in the pool industry, I've gone from.
Bob, next question for you. You were talking about your new app that you released. I know we've talked about it a little bit, but maybe we could talk about it here and what is exactly the app and exactly what it does.
This is one of the lifetime exciting things for me personally. And the reason is that some of you or many of you may know that I have an app that is called the Pool Acid Dose Calculator. And what it does is it calculates the amount of acid you need to lower pH to a desired level, and then it gives you the new alkalinity. And it's been on the market since 2013. What you may not have known is that it took me 13 years to develop that. And since that time, I have always wanted to have the other side. This app is only for acid and it's only for lowering pH and alkalinity. There's not an app and hasn't been an app for raising pH and alkalinity and getting the correct amounts. In addition, the pool acid dose calculator was limited to a pH of 8.4 on the high side and a pH of 6.5 on the low side. And so if you wanted anything outside those ranges, you had to guess at it, and it was only for lowering. So I've made a new app that is called the pH Alkalinity Adjustment Tool, and it costs $7.99 one-time purchase, not a subscription. And you can use it for raising or lowering pH and alkalinity to any amount, even to 0 if you wanted it. So you can use it to find out what you need to put in the water to make it whatever you want it to be. And it is set up on what we call priorities. And it gives you 2 different chemical amounts. two different doses. And one is what we call pH priority. So you put in the conditions in the water and the current pH and the current alkalinity, and you put in a target for pH. And it tells you the amount of acid you need or the amount of soda ash and bicarb you need to get to that pH. And then it calculates and gives you the new alkalinity. Then on the bottom side of that same screen, it has pH alkalinity priority. And you put in the alkalinity you want, and it calculates the amount of chemical you need to get to that alkalinity, and then shows you what the new pH is going to be after you add that, after you make that addition. So you can choose whichever one you want, pH priority or alkalinity priority. And this one has taken me 5 years to create. And then, because the programming was so difficult and included calculus and regressions and all kinds of mathematical algorithms in there, it took almost 6 months for the programmer to take my Excel spreadsheet and make it an app. And it is finally for sale. As of about 3 days ago, it's for sale. And it's called the pH Alkalinity Adjustment Tool. And it right at this moment is only available for iPhones. It will be available, I'm hoping, in about a week for Android phones. The programmer is working on that right now. We're hoping that it can happen real quick. But this tool is the only tool like it, and it is fantastic. And it's taken me 18 years to develop it and get it, and I'm really proud of it.
That's awesome. I think we need to, obviously I'm an Android user. I think I'm one of the probably old guys that does that, right, guys? So I'm going to have to wait, but Zach, John, you're going to have to download that and try it out.
We already did. Mom
already did?
3 days ago, she texted me. She's like, can I get this? And it came out, and I'm like, absolutely. So she's already downloaded it. She's already started using it, and she loves it, by the way.
This week, guys, we're talking to Dennis Cecil from Jandy. We're going to do a little bit of the Pool Geek talk, guys, and we also want to talk about Jandy's loyalty reward program, especially now that we're at the end of the year. We want everybody to get some details and get set up on that account.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thanks again for having me on. Definitely appreciate this opportunity to hang with you guys today. Definitely like seeing different platforms where people can get educated, kind of learn how to advance their businesses in the industry. But kind of funny how I got in here. My uncle is a pool guy. He's been a plumber for many years. My dad actually was in the business a little bit, but I never even thought about the pool industry. Grew up with a swimming pool, but I was with Coca-Cola for 18 years prior to jumping over to Jandy. But I had one of those golden opportunities. Coca-Cola was a family-owned, was selling to or transitioning over to a corporate Coca-Cola. So I really wanted change. I was starting to get a little bit older, and I figured if I made the move, this was the time to do it. So by taking this golden opportunity, I was quitting my job. I came home, told my wife, 3 kids at home, saying, hey, honey, I'm going to quit my job. She goes, you're what? And that was the only source of income. And she goes, what are you going to do? And I said, I have no idea. I go, I just want change. I just want something different. It was like July of 2013 was my last day. And as I was walking out the door, one of the guys that I mentored at Coca-Cola or worked with, and he said, hey, have you ever thought about the pool industry? I'm going back into it. And I said, I go, that sounds pretty interesting. So he goes, hey, there's this company. He was naming off the different companies, and I was like, Jandy, what the heck's Jandy? Never even heard of different manufacturers or didn't really even know what it was. So one of my best friends up in Sacramento, I kind of told him, hey, I'm going to check out the pool industry. He says, hey, I'm real good buddies. I actually work for Jandy, and I'm real good buddies with one of the regionals. And he kind of introduced me, and he goes, well, I have a position because I'm from Northern California. He goes, I have a position down in SoCal. And he goes, if you're interested, we'll give you a chance. And I said, well, I left Coca-Cola because I wanted change. So I was totally open for moving. So Jandy gave me the opportunity, and I had no idea other than pump, filter, heater. I knew nothing else. about the pool industry, because I remember people were talking about JVAs, and I'm like, what the heck's a JVA? I'm like Googling things. So I've come a long ways knowing Zero, and I've now been with the company for 7 years. And I got to say, for this move and this change in my life, it's been the best thing for my family, for me personally, and this is just an A plus outstanding company to be with. Good point, John. For the guys out there, if they're struggling getting hold of a rep or whatever, because there's usually one of us, and we have multiple territories. Some of the guys throughout the U.S. have multiple states. I'm fortunate, being in the Coachella Valley, I have a pretty tight little niche because it is so busy out there. But for guys out there, if you're trying to get a hold of the reps, at least with us, always check with your distributors. All distributors usually always have our point of contact. You can also, guys can call into our tech support number, 1-800-822-7933. Just kind of follow the prompts. If you get a hold of tech support, they can guide you to the rep in your area. And you can also get into our Fluidra reward site and go in there and check in, maybe try, if you don't have an account, try to create an account. But you can get in there, and we actually have adopted maybe about a year ago where we get a lead report. So when you guys come in and may ask questions going through our Fluidra reward site, it kind of comes back to us as reps going, hey, this guy had a question about Fluidra Academy or rewards programs. So we kind of get those messages. So we have a few different platforms. If a guy really needs to try to get a hold of us and struggling, contact distribution, call our tech support, go to fluidrarewards.com, and you can inquire there as well.
That's cool. I did not know about that.
And this week, we're talking to Kelly Carilla from Legacy Pool and Spa and founder of the Pool Girl Training. We're going to dive into her story and talk about how she got started in the industry, her journey, and her passion for helping other pool girls in our industry. Now that I've dampened the mood and I kind of brought everybody down, let's kind of, talk about this podcast. Guys, this is going to be a good one because I've been talking to Kelly, and she's got some great stories and some great experiences. So Kelly, I'm really excited to share your story here on the podcast. John, Zach, and I are really excited to start this podcast. So, we're going to ask you some questions about the business. But first, we want to get the listeners to know your story and how you got started in the pool industry.
I got started because, like you said, second generation pool person. So growing up, I always helped my parents out as much as I could, depending on age. We had a pool store in Sacramento, and my mom did a route in the area of the pool store. My dad did repairs. My mom would tell us we weren't allowed to go into the store when customers were there because we would make the customers feel stupid because I knew more than they did. But we'd go with my mom to do the route. There were times where I'd go with my dad and help him. So I would go get tools or parts or something from the truck so he could save time and just keep working. I didn't want to get into pools. So I went to college and everything and did that. And then I did get a job at a school district. Money was okay. I loved working with the kids. But once I had my own children, then it wasn't really I guess you could say reasonable, because I worked from 7 to 3. So I couldn't take my kids to doctor's appointments because their doctor, last one is at 3:30. I couldn't take my son to school at all or pick him up because I worked 7:30 to 3. And I kind of wanted more time with the kids and better income. So pools was the best choice for me and the easiest, with my parent. My dad's still doing it. He gave me all cleaning equipment he had in his garage, and I just started advertising, and I would buy things as I got customers and just built my route over, I actually got to 60 within 2 years while working a full-time job. So that's how I got into pool.
Now, your dad, he owned, does he still own the pool store or no, he does?
No, now he just does the repairs, remodels. He does some builds to, upgrades, stuff like that. He just liked it better because, as everyone in the pool industry knows, repairs and installs and all that is where the money really is. So yeah, he enjoys that.
So what part of California are you in?
I live in Carmichael, California, which is like a suburb of Sacramento in Northern California. So it's a little different than people in Southern California up here. The winter's colder. Can't say we really get a lot of rain because we haven't in the last couple of years, but everyone thinks California is the same across the state, and it isn't.
You have a sister in Houston that does pools, right? So both of you are in the industry.
I think I think she's in your neck of the woods, Zach. The pool gal Houston, I think she is on Instagram.
Yes. Yeah, she's in Houston. Same thing with her. She didn't want to do pools either. But again, she has her son and her daughter, and she was working in the refineries, and she would not, she'd be able to drop off her kids to school, or at least daycare, really early in the morning, but then she wouldn't get out for 12 hours. And so it'd be really late. So there wasn't a lot of family time except for when she was off. And then when COVID hit, she's not working at the refinery because they don't need anybody at the moment. And then she decided, what, I'm just going to get into pools. It's easy for me. I have knowledge in it. The only con she had was we don't know how Houston is, the weather, how things run. It could be different than it is here in Sacramento. But she lucked out that she did meet up with her local IPSA chapter president. He's kind of helped her kind of learn some stuff about that area. She's learned that the pools seem to be on average bigger out there than here. She's telling me she has some pools that are like 40, 50,000 gallons. So.
Hey, Zach, that's because everything is bigger in Texas, baby.
Monster pools out.
John, I'm waiting for your response on that one.
No, it's true though. I have a couple buddies that are in Houston. They're talking about, we're doing pools, and they're getting these rates for them, and they're talking about I'm seeing pictures of them. I'm like, these are monsters. These are like lagoons, right? These are lakes. Or in my area, we have on average, our pools are like 10,000, 12,000 gallons. Maybe I even have some 7,000, 8,000 gallon pools. Because every golf course has a pool, and there's little backyards because it's on a fairway, and you just got these little dinky pools everywhere, and they're like, it's like a water feature compared to some of the pools you have out in Texas, that's for sure. So,
guys, today we're talking to Eugene Lockman, and he is the owner of Prestige Pool and Patio out in Frisco, Texas. Prestige builds over 300 pools every year, and they service almost 900 pools per week. We're going to do a deep dive into his journey and talk about what it takes to keep an operation that size on track and how they strive to provide such a great product and service. So, Eugene, good morning. How's everything going?
Just another busy morning. That's it. Just trying to figure out iPhone versus Android. It's the talk of the day.
It's an easy one.
It's you got to get rid of those iPhones, guys. I've talked about it, but nobody listens to me. All right, guys, I'm not going to lie. Eugene gave me access to this entire place this week, and I was literally like a kid on a candy store. And you guys should see the view that I have. I actually get to see the yard out here. And Zach, John, it's literally like that feeling that you have when you're at Disneyland and you're 6 or 7 years old. You pull up into the yard, and I'm not kidding. He got a delivery today, and there's the pallet of the pumps, and there's probably about 8 filters, and there's all kinds of equipment out there. So it's been a total Disneyland story for me so far. You walk through where he has all his parts, guys, it looks like a small distributor shop with all the racks and all the equipment. And when you walk out there, guys, in the middle of his yard, he's got this one big building
where he has all his chems for his guys. And so, Zach, John, what do you think is his chemistry? Is it powdered? Is it liquid? Is it salt? What is it?
Well, so I'm hoping he has a lot of salt, and I'm hoping he does a lot of liquid. But I'm figuring he's probably going through, like, I don't know, 10 pallets of chlorine a week.
Dry
of liquid,
or tap? Liquid. Okay. What about you, Zach?
So I'm throwing a wild guess out there. I'm going with salt and maybe Cal Hypo tabs.
Cal Hypo tabs. Oh, that's
Just
a good one.
It up.
That's a good one. Absolutely no. He is a liquid guy. So tons of liquid chlorine, tons of liquid acid, and then obviously some tabs to supplement. But Eugene, how much salt pools do you have?
Anymore, it's believe it or not, in our world, it's a dying piece of the business. Salt is not necessarily the way that people go mostly today. So you still have your diehards and the people that definitely have a reason to want salt, but with just all the other corrosive stuff, that's a dying piece of the business.
That's interesting.
But I would have to say everybody's correct. I have salt. I have liquid. We use a lot of liquid, and we use our tabs mainly just to supplement the cyanuric acid.
And that's one of the things that we talk about all the time on our podcast and all that is really kind of doing the liquid and staying away from all the powder. It's interesting because out here, Cal Hypo is such a dominant force out in the market, but it's great. It's great to see you using liquid.
Can I ask a question on that?
Go.
Are you using liquid chlorine feeders, Eugene?
We do. We have a lot of pools that have feeders on them, especially in our commercial world. That's really heavily used, but nonetheless, that is bleeding over into the residential side as well. So we have them on feeders, and then we use it. We use the liquid just because of the reverse effects of just the dust and the powder and all the stuff you get with the powder. We found that we can control and ultimately deliver a better product when we leave using a liquid chlorine versus Cal Hypo.
That's a great point. And Zach talks about it all the time because you probably have the same, part of the business, which is you've got a whole bunch of techs out there, and it's really about having all those chemicals and having to have all those hazardous chemicals in the back of the truck and having all these guys use that. And sometimes it obviously gets hard to the point that you have to train all these guys and stay on top of them to do that. Guys, I really want to get this podcast started, and I really want Eugene for you to really go back to your beginnings, go back to that first pool, go back to when you started, and just kind of take us through the journey of Prestige and where you started and where you are now.
All right. So how long do I have?
You have as long as you want, because we want to hear this story.
I mean, you want me to stay at 35,000 feet, or you want me to come down to 10,000? I mean, no, it's I'm going to make the story short, and you guys can ask me to define or dive deeper, and I don't mind. All this started, years and years ago. I worked for AT&T. I was a network engineer for AT&T Wireless, and they decided they would merge up with Singular. And when they did, the group I was in, they laid all of us off. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I had no idea. I didn't like the desk job. So I decided, I had a buddy that was building and selling some houses. I thought, man, let's go give this a run and let's try it out. So I bought two to be exact. I bought 2 empty lots in a neighborhood that was growing, and I built a couple of houses. And one thing that I learned while I was building those houses is it was slow, and more importantly, my risk, the money that I had on the table, was everything. It was everything I had. And if one of those houses did not work out, I was doomed. I was doomed financially. It would have bankrupted me. And so it took me about 8 months to build and sell those houses. And in the process, I had a lot of downtime. And so I started doing some odds and ends that I could easily do. And that was building fences, really. That was it. I started building some fences, and I built a fence. And it started because a buddy of mine got a bid for a fence, and we all thought it was just extreme crazy how much it was. And I said, hey, I can do it for you. And so I did. I built that fence, and like everything that I've tried to do, I try to, brand myself, and I put a little sign on that fence. And within a month, I had another customer that wanted me to build them a fence, and then another one. And what I realized in the process of building those houses and building those fences, I realized the risk versus reward was way lopsided on the house versus the fence. Meaning, on a fence, I got 50% of the money up front, so my risk or money on the line was damn near nothing. And then my profit and how many fences I could do in that 8-month period, that profit equaled more than what I could make on those 2 houses. And then, like I said, God forbid that the house didn't sell, or it took me longer to carry it. Now the interest and bank ate all the profits. So we quickly decided after those 2 houses that we were not going to be a house builder. And so we started focusing on wood, and that wood led from fences to arbors to covered patios. And in our area here in North Texas, man, sometimes I think there's more people that want outdoor living than they do pools. But nonetheless, I started trying to grow that business, and doing so, I started talking to pool guys and trying to get other opportunities. I eventually started working for several of those pool guys. Some of those are my competitors today. We don't work for them in the fact of building structures or anything today for them. But back then, I worked for several of them. And I ended up partnering up with one of them. He had a small pool business, and I had a small wood business, and both of them were growing. And in late 2007, we decided, hey, let's put this together and ultimately help each other out, because like any business, we both had struggles, and we felt that partnership could reduce some of those struggles. We put the 2 companies together, and everything just really started clicking. There was a lot of excitement. We were doing trade shows. We had a growing business, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, that recession, 2008, it hit us like it did everybody else, like a brick wall. And I was 49% owner in that relationship, in that marriage, and at the end of the day, he made the decisions, and his decisions is what we went with, and ultimately that was not a viable option for me anymore to feed my family. And so I left that business. I left that partnership in the end of 2008, and quite frankly, I needed a job, and so I went and worked for a landscape company. I picked up a job. I literally left my partner's house on a Sunday, made a phone call, and the next morning I was working at a landscape company, and it was just a job. It was a job that I needed a paycheck. And at that very moment in time, I really did not have enough money to pay my next house payment. And so thank God I got the job at the landscape company, but he was struggling too. 2008 recession, it affected everybody. But nonetheless, I had a job, and I had a brand new baby. And so we were just trying to live, trying to survive, trying to climb a ladder. Fast forward to February of 2009, I had a customer that I had reached, or that I had done a design for, and tried to, sell a deal, but 2008 put it on hold. And so in February 2009, that customer called me and said, "Hey, do you remember me?" Well, yeah, of course I remember you. We want to get this project started. The landscape deal was kind of, like I said, it was its own struggle. That company had its own struggles at that time, and it really did not have a long-term viable option. So I took that opportunity to leave the landscape company and go do that project, that big outdoor kitchen. And he's an attorney, a big attorney here in Dallas. And as I was doing that project, naturally, I already knew pool maintenance and pool build by this time. So he already had a pool, and he asked me, "Hey, why don't you maintain my pool?" One of the things that I decided to focus on after I left my partnership was pool maintenance and service and maintenance. One of the things that did not really, wasn't really affected by that recession was service and maintenance. So I made a commitment at that point right there that I was going to really focus on building my service and maintenance company, because if and when that next recession happens, I felt that it was a more stable side of the industry. So I wanted to focus on service and maintenance. So with that job for the outdoor living, the attorney, I quickly sold him to let me come and take care of his pool. And he, being an attorney and having a lot of friends, and most of his friends are the kind of friends that have pools, within a week or two, man, I had like 8 pools that I needed to start taking care of. And just because I had promised and committed that I could do better than whoever they were using, I could do better. So all of a sudden, I needed somebody to clean pools, and I could do it myself, but I was trying and staying focused on the construction side of things. So I went and talked to a girl that I had as an employee back in my partnership. And by this time, that partnership, that company, after I left, and I'm not going to say it's because I left, it's not. It was taking its own road, and that road was leading to an inevitable ending. And so she had already left that company, and I reached out to her. She was working at a department store like a Macy's or a Dillard's or something you'd find in a mall. And I asked her, I said, hey, would you be interested in cleaning pools on the side? And she's like, well, yeah, I'm off on Thursdays. I could clean some pools on Thursdays. And the one great thing about that girl is that, and this is one of the struggles that as a company I've had along the way, is finding people that believed in the dream, believed in you as the owner, believed in the company, and ultimately we're on the same wavelength. And she was one of those girls. So naturally it was immediate confidence that I could hand her those pools and she could go clean them and do the job, and the expected outcome was there. So that allowed me to continue to focus on, new construction work and also building and selling more service and maintenance. So at that very time, at that very moment in time, I would say that would have been March of 2009. We were a 2-person company. It was me. I wore a lot of hats. I wore the accounting hat, the banking hat, the sales hat, the project manager hat, sometimes the digger hat, whatever it was, I was wearing that hat, and she was cleaning the pools. But at that time, when I started the house building company, my company name, my legal tax identity was Lockman Construction. And, I now all of a sudden I have 8 accounts, and I'm wanting to add more, and I need a pickup for this girl to drive. But man, if I put Lockman Construction on the side of this pickup, I mean, what's that going to tell anybody? How's that going to get me any more business? And so I went down to the courthouse. I got a DBA, a doing business as, and I came up with Prestige Pool and Patio. And so that immediately gave me an opportunity to have something that I could sticker on the side of this truck, so I could continue to try to grow that service and maintenance, which was so important to me from very early on. So I continued to build the maintenance, and I continued to pick up jobs. Within a few months, I was, at 25, 30 pools, and I was just doing it out of the office of my house. My house had 3 garages, and one garage had a pool service company running out of it. And we just kept working. We kept growing and doing our thing. And that's kind of where it started.
In today's podcast, we're talking to Albert Miller, VP of Sales at Hayward's Pool Products. And we want to welcome back to our podcast, Kevin Bulling, Dealer Development Manager at Hayward. We will be talking about Hayward going public, what it means for you, the pool pro. We'll also talk about the current status of the pool industry, the product shortage, the forecast for the pool industry, and we will talk about Hayward's new product. Kevin, good morning.
Welcome to all the Pool Nation crew. I'm happy to be here again today, and looking forward to a good conversation to go over a lot of interesting stuff, a lot of trends and industry news, which should be very cool. Cool stuff to talk about.
Great. And we appreciate you being here, Kevin. You've been on our podcast before, but we appreciate you taking the time. Albert, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, thanks for having me on, Edgar. Before, Kevin said he'd been on this show before. He said, "Oh, but you should join him and talk to him." And I did a little research, and your reputation precedes you out there. A lot of folks have been talking about you guys.
Oh, that's kind of exciting.
Yeah.
What are they saying?
I don't know. Something about you make really good cupcakes or cupcaking. I don't know, something along those lines.
Yeah, the funny thing is I told my son I was going to be on Pool Nation today, and he Googled it, and he's like, "Dad, are you cupcaking today?" And I said, "What are we talking about?" No,
we got the baker on here.
We have the official. Zach, what do you think about that?
The baker?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Cupcake King.
Cupcake King.
I'm starting my own Netflix show. I just signed the deal. We're going to be on Netflix, so we're going to.
Guys, I think the one thing that we need to specify is kind of explain what the whole cupcaking is, because I think somebody that's listening new is going to be like, wait a second, what are you guys talking about? So, Zach, you want to share with everybody what this whole cupcaking thing is?
Oh, I mean, it's sickening to me. John and Mama and the lovey-dovey and the romancing.
I told you this podcast is multifaceted, right? We talk, not only do we talk pool talk, and then last week we really got deep into the psyche and talked about emotions and how we felt. And then, in every other podcast we talk about love life, right? And how to keep that fire going with your significant other. And we do it all here. We absolutely do it all here. So this is my time to shine when it comes down to scoring brownie points with Mama.
Go ahead,
I see
Zach.
a book deal coming in the future for you, John.
I've already signed it. We've already started it. I wasn't going to say it yet, but we'll be announcing it probably in a few months. We'll have it on sale on Amazon.
I just want you to know that this is your safe place, bro. You can let out the feelings and kind of let everybody know how you feel.
Mom and I are 20 years strong right now, so we got to keep that. We got to keep that fire burning. So
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for the cupcaking, John. We appreciate that. Guys, before we get today's podcast started, we wanted to make a big announcement, and that is that we have partnered with the International Pool and Spa Expo, and we're going to be attending the show in Dallas. We're going to do some live podcasts from the show, and the one that Zach, John, and I are really excited about is that we will be hosting the first Pool Nation Awards on November 17th at the show. And these are going to be the Pool Pro Awards because the pool guys and the pool girls are going to be the ones that are going to be voting for the nominations and for whatever categories we have, which we're kind of working on a couple of them out there. And we don't want to talk about them just yet. We're going to have more details coming out soon, but mark your calendars because we'll be there. The show is going to be from November 13th to the 18th. And I'm also going to say this, Zach and John, not only am I really excited about it, but most of you guys know that Zach, John, and I have been doing the podcast for 6-7 months. And Zach, John, and I have actually never met in person. So this is going to be the first time that the Pool Nation crew actually gets together. So Zach, John, I am super pumped about this.
Hopefully it doesn't turn out that you catfish me.
Yes. Yes.
All the pictures you send, the videos we've done, and maybe it's a big old elaborate scheme you got going on. But I just hope I don't get catfished. And I can already see or think about an award right now, right? Top Chef is going to definitely go to me.
Top Chef? What are you talking about?
For cupcaking.
Cupcaker of the year. Hey, look at this. We're already getting questions. So if you look at the Insta chat here, Hayward does the School of Business. Are you guys doing that this year? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I don't know if we are doing the School of Business. We are going to be back at the show. We're super excited to go to the International. We think it's going to be the first widely attended show this season as everyone's kind of getting vaccinated. With their first and second shots, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. We've kind of been on lockdown for the past year. So we're super excited to be there. I will look to see if we're going to have that School of Business show. I can't say for certainty we're doing that, but I would suspect yes. Kevin, you may know.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not sure on what the total training outline looks like yet, but we're definitely going to be there early ahead of the show to do trainings, and that'll most specifically be on product trainings. But yeah, we might do something more business oriented like we've done in the past.
Thanks for listening to the Pool Nation podcast, a member of the Pool Nation family. You can listen to us live every Friday here at 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central, and 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. You can find us at Pool Nation or poolnationpodcast.com, on Facebook, or on Instagram at pool.nation. And to find more info about Pool Invoice, the billing software built specifically for the pool industry, go to poolinvoice.com. Before you go, this is what the pool industry has been waiting for. PoolmanUniversity.com. It's the first platform dedicated to learning the swimming pool service and repair industry. A pool service community where you can connect and find videos on business, service, water chemistry, and repairs. See you there at PoolmanUniversity.com.